I'd say that I had a pretty typical childhood. I loved hanging out with my older sisters, playing outside with the neighborhood kids until the sun went down, and watching the same few Disney movies on repeat. I also was a very inquisitive child. My mom tells me that I asked 1,000 questions a day and always was interested in how things worked. When I was 4 years old, my mom signed me up to be on my very first soccer team. After that, we spent every Saturday morning up at the soccer fields for my games, and I quickly fell in love with the sport. Pretty soon, it was hard to get me to want to do anything other than play. To no one's surprise, this did not change as I got older. Soccer went from being my favorite thing to do to being the only thing I did. I did it all: club soccer, high school soccer, and I even made it onto the state of Missouri's Olympic development team for my age group. Soccer was my way of expressing my creativity. Playing soccer in college had always been my plan. My parents were super supportive. They got me a personal trainer and paid a lot of money to a company that would help me get recruited. I went into my junior year feeling really confident and thinking I'd have a great season. And then this happened. On the very first game of my junior season, every soccer player's worst nightmare became my reality. I tore my ACL, MCL, and meniscus. As we scheduled my reconstructive surgery, I was sure that the big dreams I had to play soccer in the future had been taken away from me. What do I do now? So I had my surgery and fought like hell to get back to the game I loved. There was a lot of frustration, tears, and knee pain, but I finally got cleared to play again. I assumed that no scout would want to give a soccer scholarship to an injured girl, so I decided I would just attend school at Truman State University. Towards the end of my senior year season, I was offered a full-ride soccer scholarship to a smaller private school in KC. After much deliberation, I decided I had to accept the scholarship and see where it could take me. I was really excited about my decision. And then, on the very day that I signed my letter of intent, I had a soccer game and re-tore my ACL, which is a very uncommon thing to do. I wondered what I had done to deserve all these bad things that were happening to me as we scheduled my second reconstructive surgery at the age of 18. So I ended up going to Truman as I had planned to before. I was pretty bummed, to say the least. Soccer had always been how I identified myself. If I wasn't the soccer girl anymore, who was I? I realized I needed to find out what made me happy. What is my new spark? This was my roommate freshman year. We were friends in high school, so at first I instinctively started to cling to her and do what she did. But I quickly realized that that wouldn't get me anywhere. On a whim, I decided I'd go through sorority recruitment. Soon enough, I was a Delta Zeta. Joining DZ is one of the best decisions I've ever made. Not only was I introduced to girls I now consider my best friends, but it taught me how much I love leadership and how I love to set a good example for those around me. I had finally found my home at Truman. My sophomore year, I decided I would go out for Cardinal Key, and surprisingly enough, I ended up getting in. I've grown in more ways than I can count since joining. These girls have taught me how to love others unconditionally and how to give without expecting anything in return. I've always cared a lot about school and grades, but it wasn't until I came to Truman that I realized how much I actually love to learn. I truly believe that knowledge is power, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to get a good education. Though I was somewhat forced into it, coming to Truman ended up being a blessing in disguise. I honestly can't imagine being anywhere else. My horrible luck led me to Truman, but Truman led me to things I didn't even realize I was looking for. After hurting my knee, I didn't feel like myself for a really long time, but coming to school here, meeting new people, and joining organizations helped me realize what made me happy. DZ sparked the leader in me. Cardinal Key sparked the giver in me. Classes sparked the scholar in me. And ultimately, Truman sparked the creativity in me.